How do you know that?
You know what? We call that a 60 Minutes question, where an interviewer asks a question presupposing that we will just answer it as if you have taken a massive leap forward.
Yeah, that's called go pay to see the movie.
Yeah, hopefully all that we can say is that in terms of any extraterrestrial life that is presented in this movie, it will be different than extraterrestrial life that you have seen in different movies. Perhaps that's additive, perhaps it's going in its own new way, perhaps it's both, but hopefully you will get the sort of the hunched over monkey to hominid progression which you see, my friend. That's exactly what it's like this. Fassbender were here, he'd do it much better.
We have one more question here.
The movie's tagline is "The search for our beginning could lead to our end." You mentioned evolution. This also leads one to wonder about God. The Greeks, like you said, believed Prometheus brought the gift of fire to man. The book of Genesis shows Satan bringing enlightenment to mankind. What does this Prometheus symbolize specifically? What is the religious significance?
That is like one of the most insightful questions. How did you get in?
To answer it, he's going to start something as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say that it's a very insightful question because the characters in the movie are having the very conversations that you are having. And what's really interesting to us when we started talking about the future is, say, 100 years from now, or in this case, in 2085, are people still going to be having the same conversations we're having now about creation? Or will science have gone to a place where that conversation is radically changed? And what are the religious and spiritual implications of that? So what we're willing to say is that your question is dealt with and talked about with great significance in the movie, but we don't want to tell you what the answer to it is, or whether or not the characters are still asking it at the end.
And further that, some scientists will actually acknowledge that that's a really good question. Because some scientists, whether they're astrophysics or quantum mathematics or whatever it is, they get to a wall sometimes, frequently, and they have to employ their own creative process to take them through that wall. That's why, that level of mathematics and science is artistic, in my opinion, right? It's an art form. Because you're suddenly thinking along another level. And I think that's why sometimes scientists have been influenced by good science fiction movies. Because it takes the headset and says, wait a minute, I'm trying to beat my head against this spot in the door. If I move over here, adjust, and do a what if, I can evolve. And I said, when that doesn't happen, you can't reach it. Do you ever think about God? And they smile, and some say, absolutely.
And, if we did our jobs right, hopefully you'll be asking yourself, is there any scientific discovery that could be made in my lifetime that would make me stop believing in God? It's a very provocative question, and we certainly don't have the answer to it, but the movie is certainly asking that question.
Good question.
Yeah.
That's going to wrap up today's Q&A